Let's get rolling here. All righty. So you're a quarter way through the class. Pretty crazy, huh?
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, it's going to be over before you know it. Okay. So just a quick recap of how you guys' grades are calculated. Um, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of our grading system because I think it's more important that we get an education than we do a grade. But so have you guys ever heard of like the learning mode versus performance mode? Um, Go ahead.
I'm better on actually doing versus just reading about it.
Yeah. So from a learning mode, we're trying to gain new knowledge and apply it in a performance mode is all about just getting things done. So there's a balance between the two, right? You know, you guys live busy lives, and so sometimes you need to be in performance mode of I just need to get my assignments done, get my learnings done and all of that. But remember, this is what's really cool about being in school right now is it's a safe environment to fail. Right? If you were on the job and you failed, it could be a means for firing you, but in this environment, it's not. And what's really cool is that they give us the latitude of if you fail to let you master the content, so let you do assignments and things like that, so you can actually learn from your failure. So it's a pretty cool format in that regard. So in terms of assignments, we haven't had any yet. Your first one, you'll get started on it next week, and then it will be due the week after. Actually, no, I think we're supposed to get started this week, right?
Yeah.
And then the first section is due next week, and then we'll go over that. The Learnits are 30% of your grade. Hopefully, when do we get that kinks out of there, so it's not a big time sucker for you. But one where if I am ever going to talk about easy points, Yellow Dig is really easy points because all you have to do is get in there and then start the conversation. So I wanted to jump in a little bit more about Yellow Dig. So from a participation standpoint, I think we could have a lot more of it. But what I want you to use it for, so I have those weekly sparks where you can get in there and kind of think about the content from the week. But also, if there's anything you guys want to learn or explore during class, I just post it in the Yellow Dig. So again, this is your guys' class, and I have the latitude of tailoring everything we do in these live sessions to what you guys want to learn, which is really, really cool. So I'm not restricted by a set curriculum that I have to go over. So if there's anything you guys want to go over from your readings or just anything in general that you want to learn about, just shoot it in the Yellow Dig, and then I can prepare for Saturday. So pretty cool thing that we can do here and really tailor it to what you guys want to learn or anything that you're curious about. Have you guys ever heard of the flip model of learning in the classroom?
The flip model?
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's essentially sort of what we're doing is that we're allowing you to do a bulk of what you would normally do in the classroom, like the lecture content and all that on your own because you're reading the textbook and doing those learn-its. And we can reserve classroom time for essentially doing your homework.
Right.
So that's what we're going to do today is we're going to go over the homework assignments and then discuss them and see if you guys have any questions on it. And that way you can get a leg up on it to then start working on it. So any questions about that?
I really like the Yellow Dig in the fact that it's kind of like us just socializing with our classmates, even if we don't post anything like class related, it's nice to just kind of see and touch bases with them and know that they're still there. Because I mean, we started out, William and I stuck from the day one, and all our other classmates kind of dropped like flies.
We've lost a lot of people.
Bummer. So
I always go on Yellow Dig. I'm like, who's left? Oh, thank God William's still with me.
You're right. What
Well, I would,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, Wendy, there's an easy way of doing that to find out who's still in your class. When you first log in and get your Canvas open, after you click into the class, if you look on the side, it'll say people.
Uh-huh.
If you click into the people one and go up and change it to all students, it'll show you who all the students are in the class, and you'll see who, if you have anybody that started with you or whatnot still in the class with you.
Right. I think it's just you and me, William.
Well, you have Ken Treese.
Yeah, I think so.
And Ken Treese.
Well, I think Patrice was a little. I think she started a little later, or something, because I don't remember. She's been with us a long ways, but I don't think she's been with us from the very beginning. There was just a handful of us, and it seems like every new session there's one less of us.
Gotcha. So
since we started back in, what was it, September of last year? It was like, well, you started August. I started in September.
Yeah.
I think it was like September 5th,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it was September.
And now it's just down to me and Wendy out of everybody we started with.
Mm-hmm. And I would say there was probably like
class.
10. There was like 10. There was a lot of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I know Kentrice is in your other class, and then Dwayne has another class. So he's just in this class with you guys, and then he has another class.
Yeah.
So that's something that could happen too. People get off schedule, or if they have to repeat a class, stuff like that.
But it's nice to go on Yellow Dig and be like, okay, there's someone familiar.
Yeah. So, and you actually bring up an excellent point. So you can think of Yellow Dig not just as the classroom conversation that we're like, giving you opportunity to ask questions and things like that, but it's a way, and I really liked how it was put. It's like having the hallway conversation too.
Yeah.
That, you don't necessarily get that experience because you're doing it online, but that's a way for you to, replicate that.
Yeah.
So, really cool. So, and what I love about Yellow Dig is that benchmark on the side, it just tells you where you're at.
Yeah.
So one of the awesome thing about that is it'll tell you how many points you're accumulating. One of the things that's, it's good and bad is that you can only accumulate 35 in a week. So it caps you at that. So you can miss some points some weeks, but overall throughout the whole, since I grade you in 4-week chunks, you need to be you want to get the full 100 points. So you just have to kind of, if you're down 1 week, just make sure you catch up with the 35 in the following week. So let's actually jump into Yellow Dig real quick, and we can kind of discuss it together. So,
well, that's what I was going to ask about Yellow Dig, is because I know a couple of my classes, and Wendy knows that a couple of our classes said the max was 35, but after giving the instructor giving us badges and stuff, it actually pushed us past 35.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So give us lots of badges.
Well, that's so. Like, I have it set in there to cap at 35 per week, but maybe
it says it caps. But if you get badges and stuff, it does go a little. It's like the badges are just like your extra points, because we can only post up to 35 points. But if you give us a badge, then it gives us more points.
That makes sense. That might be the case, is that it's allowing you to get more points from my perspective, but you're capped at what you can do on your own.
Yeah. So you should give us badges on every post.
I did. I went back and
we had one teacher in 200 points. I got one badge from him in 200 points. And really? I even commented on like school stuff, and he would just comment like, what does that have to do with anything?
Really?
Horrible.
All right, let's get in here and let me share my screen again.
Yeah, I hated that teacher too.
Yeah,
so don't feel bad.
I really had to work for that 200 points.
So,
I still had my 200 points in that class, and he didn't give them to me. So
Yeah, well, me
he
too.
gave me a little lower. So
Yeah, me too. I had over 200, and he still didn't give me all the points. But I mean, I still got an A in that class. But he was a jerk. I didn't think he liked being a teacher because nobody was getting badges. He was negative feedback on anybody who posted.
Really?
He got a bad review.
That's kind of crazy. All right, here. My PowerPoint's still sharing, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, let me stop sharing that. Playing with too many screens. I have a second monitor, but I lost my connector, so it's like, oh, gotta do everything on one screen. If you have a chance,
actually,
having multiple screens is awesome.
well, I've got on my desktop, I've got 2 screens hooked into one, and it's in the settings where I've gone in and because I've got one ran by the regular cable that comes with the computer screens, and then I've got another one that I've got hooked in by an HDMI cord into the back of the tower.
Yeah, I have a Mac laptop, and all I have is I think it's a Fire port, and I had to connect it to my VGA, but I don't know where I seem to lose things at my house here.
You have kids.
Yeah, who knows what they do with it. I don't know why it's not letting me get out of this.
Are we having the same problem as we had last week?
No, I'm looking.
Because I still see your PowerPoint.
I know, and I'm trying to stop sharing my screen, and
Should just have to hit stop sharing at the bottom.
well, that's not showing up on
the.
Here, let me close some stuff. Oh, there it is. It was hidden behind everything. It was actually top of my screen. Okay. So what I get for having too many windows open. All right, here we go.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I also noticed with Zoom open, if you have too many windows open, it makes you lag too. So.
I gotcha. Okay, so it even's recording my points, right?
Ooh, look at you're lagging. You need another point for this week.
Yeah. I need to punch in my points. So let's just go off of. So remember, there's different ways to get points, like you mentioned, getting badges. Also, you can pin a new post or comment on someone else's post. So with
easiest way to see how the points work is right below the 30%. There's a deal that says how the points work.
Yeah. So and this is what I've adjusted this on my end. So there's different amounts. So you can see. What I love about as you start to type a comment, it will tell you how many more words you need to type in. So if you just look at this, if you have two new pins and then 2 comments in a week, then you should be good. Actually, if you look at it and I give you, and if badges really do, let's see here if it doesn't have a.
Actually, I've found an easy way of doing Yellow Dig for your class.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, like this week, how we're doing chapters 3 and 4. Like the day that you start chapter 3, do a Yellow Dig post, and then the next day when you do the other part of chapter 3, do a Yellow Dig post, and do the same for chapter 4, and you'll have 4 Yellow Dig posts. And that's 32 points right there because of the 8 points for the new pins.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or if you're behind a little bit, all you have 2 pins, 1 per chapter, and then a comment for each one. That's Yeah, then you've hit your points.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, my son came in the room and didn't close the door. John. Okay, so let's see here. So the post I want you guys to respond to will always be at the top of the feed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, like I said, you can put in more things like when you put in questions about GPS or seeing what she was doing with that. Also, this is where you can put in things that you want to learn about or things that you thought were interesting from what you're learning. So just like you said, William, if you're posting content to a specific chapter, that's a great way to do it. So if you want to think about hitting the 35, you can have, questions about one of the chapters for the week, and then another post for questions about the other chapter, and then just respond to my Spark for the week. And that's 24 right there. And then if you need any more, you can just comment on other people's posts. So let's just look at this first question. So I modified it from my first week's question. So here, let me ask you this real quick. Would you rather me have, for these weekly Sparks, what do you want them to look like? Do you want to have larger questions or what do you want?
Well, say that's like me and Wendy, when we first started out, our first couple of semesters, the teachers had Spark. All the rest of the time, we didn't have Sparks to do.
Yeah, so we just kind
So
of.
with you throwing Sparks in, it's like we're having to get back into used to having to go back to the Sparks again.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, because I normally am like, okay, what am I going to talk about when I do my posts? So I'm kind of I'm not really like looking at a Spark because I think it was probably maybe our first 2 classes that we had Sparks.
Really?
And so we're a year in, and it's just like, make your points, make your post what you want. So we haven't really worked on the Sparks. So when I'm like doing my reading or if there's something going on like at work or whatever, I'm constantly thinking of like, okay, what am I going to make my comments about?
Gotcha. I didn't know that. Okay. So yeah, do you guys have any thoughts? The thought that's came to my mind is that I can have 3 sections to a Spark. Maybe this is a short section that's like an open-ended question to kind of get your mind thinking about the content. Mm-hmm. And then I can have a part to it that says, the chapter, one of the chapters for the week and another chapter for the week. And then you guys can just put down questions or things that you learn and stuff like that.
Right.
So
yeah, because I'm trying to I've got it set up where, like, when I do my homework, it's set up to do my yellow dig, like, after I've done reading. So then in case I have questions or I'm like, hey, I didn't understand something, I can comment on it. So I kind of set it up to where I do that. And then, a certain day of the week, like right now, because I had to redo with, because trying to get the 0.5 points, I'm doing reading every day. So I switched my yellow dig day to Tuesdays. So those are the days I do all my yellow digs.
Gotcha. All right, how about this, and see what you guys think. So I'll have one part of. So I'll put a weekly Spark, and then within that you can respond to, and I'll just say, hey, here's 3 different sections that you can respond to. You can have separate pins, whatever. So I'll have one about the reading. So that's where you can go in and just. So let's say, like you said, Wendy, if you have any questions, you can post it to the class, or if you just had some things that you liked, just post that there as well. And then I'll just have a small thought or quote, something interesting to get the conversation going. Right. And then a section on the assignment for the week. So right. This is a way, not that you're gonna like necessarily solicit, like, I'm copying my classmates' homework, but this is a way that you can help inspire each other in your assignment. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to talk about your assignment today. This can give you a really good area of like, okay, hey, I was thinking about doing this for my assignment. What do you guys think?
Right.
Stuff like that. So that
Kind of
was,
like giving kind of like proofreading it and giving them a little feedback on it.
yeah, exactly. So that was one thing. Like, so as a teacher, we had an onboarding class, and that was one thing I gave back as feedback. Is like, as I was doing the assignments, the only feedback I got was from my instructors. I didn't get it from my fellow classmates.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, if you think about it, education, one of the real benefits of it is not just who your teacher is, but who the fellow students are, because it's a collective learning environment, and everyone has different experiences, and everyone can help contribute to that learning experience. So let's utilize our leverage Yellow Dig to do that. We're all here to learn, so what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's also, I just started a job in May where I'm the new site supervisor. So it's nice that some of the stuff I'm learning, like I actually am having to use at work. As far as, it's a brand new doctor's office. So, figuring out job descriptions and workflows and things like that. So it's all things I'm kind of already doing. So it's nice to have like points of reference when I'm doing the homework. I'm like, hey, I can try that because I'm kind of doing that right now.
Oh, cool.
I mean, we have an HR department, but as far as hiring employees and interviewing and then figuring out what their job duties are, we're kind of doing that right now as we're adding more employees. So it's nice to be able to kind of get some ideas and suggestions as I'm doing my homework that I can actually apply at work.
Oh, that is cool. So yeah, and if you like, so that's like perfect insights that you could share with the class in Yellow Dig.
Right.
Yeah, I was able to apply this, and that way you're helping, improve everyone else's learning.
Yeah.
So let's look at this real quick. So as I said, I just modified this one, and it said instead of pretending you're the HR manager, let's say that you're just about to graduate and you're looking at different job offers. What would you look at in a company to be the ultimate deciding factor for you?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's really about like what matters most to you. So let's say some of the basics, like the compensation and the benefits are even. What else would you look for in the company to make that final choice for you?
How a company treats their employees. Are there people that actually stick around in that company for long term? Because that's a big thing. If the company don't treat their employees good, they can give you all the money in the world. If you're not happy with your job, then people aren't going to stick around.
Yeah, you're right. So hey, how would you find that out then?
Talking to other people. You get a reputation. Like I live in a small town, so there's a reputation for specific companies and big, corporations. And talking to other people, you can kind of get a feel of how those people are treated when they were employees.
So in your situation, is it easy just to go and ask the person, like face to face, or how does that work?
Yeah, like for example, the company I work for, it's a huge corporation. It's Tenant Health. It's across the country. I was able to, when I was searching for the job, there were people that were giving me feedback about this corporation versus a competing corporation that's in this town. So, there are a lot of long-term employees. They treat people well. They listen to their employees, because it's not just about, the bottom line. It's taking care of your employees to be able to run a business. I think it's really important. I've worked for really bad companies and I've worked for really good companies. So that's like a huge thing for me.
No, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Because, yeah, when I know,
There's all.
Good.
I was going to say you can also Google the company and see if there's any reviews that people wrote about the companies or anything. Because most of the time, if you Google a company or anything about the company, it's going to pop pop up with either a social media site that someone's talking about them on, or a review list will pop up somewhere. You'll find information on what they're doing and how they're treating people and stuff.
Yeah, excellent point. Have you guys ever used Glassdoor before? So Glassdoor is actually a specific website for that, where you can get on and you can actually see, like, actual employees will go in there and give their feedback about the company. And sometimes they'll actually have a compensation put down there as well. So you can see, okay, this role has, gets this amount in salary and things of that nature. So not a bad resource to go check out. Also, William's already connected with me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn can be a way for you to go in and find the different people in that company. And like Wendy said, we want to see who's been there long term. That could be a somewhat non-invasive way of seeing how long people have actually been at that company in your specific role. You could just go look for that company and look for employees that have that same role, or you could just look at all the different people in the company. So yeah. So we talked about culture is a vital part of a company, and my strategy professors might disagree, but my management professor, my other professors that taught the people side of things said, hey, culture will eat strategy for lunch. Which I think is true, because you could have the best strategy in place or best plan, but if your people aren't happy, they're not going to execute on your plan.
Right. They're not going to care.
Yeah. Just to use like a sports analogy, you could have a dream team, but if the players don't play well together, then it doesn't matter. You can have all the talent in the world, but it won't give you the results that you want.
Right.
Cool. So that's a short, quick example of what you could just go in there and post on your own, and that would be a pin, and that would be 8 points for you. But I like that we discussed this, because I think it will be great to use Yellow Dig not only to do these thought-provoking things, but to go over your readings or your assignments. So that way you're almost doubling up, like you're using Yellow Dig to help improve your assignments or improve what you're learning in the Learn-Its. So that way you're, knocking out the two birds with one stone. So
right.
Cool. Any you guys have any questions on Yellow Dig, or?
No.
Cool. So yeah, always a great way if you have any questions. Instead of emailing me, don't feel free to put it in Yellow Dig, because that could be a place. Maybe one of the other students in the class has the same questions but might be afraid to ask it. Yellow Dig makes it easy, because then everyone has that available to them.
Is anybody else having issues with getting their points for GPS?
I think you're the
operator error is what you're saying, right?
But like, so William brought up an issue, like it wasn't putting up the congratulations, you got your 100 points banner.
Yeah, like it was showing in the video up at the top how it would say congratulations, and then down in the lower right hand corner it would say you got 100.
Okay.
The 100%. But it wasn't showing up at the top, congratulations, you passed it. It was only showing the 100 down in the lower right-hand corner. And I brought that up to him last week.
Yeah, and so, well, what you brought up, Wendy, actually led to an even bigger issue. Is in the syllabus, it states that to get a 0.5, all you have to do to get the 100 points is a 0.5, right? But it's missing the part that you also have to go through the 35 questions.
Right.
So they're going to update that. So that's straightforward. So, but because the syllabus is really a contract, if it becomes an issue in the end, I'll definitely work with you.
Right.
For your points, because that's what it stated at the beginning when you started. So,
okay.
You can think of the syllabus as a contract.
Right.
For the course. So let me just make a note.
I put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure that I complete everything. So it's my OCD is agitated because it's not working.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. And I hear what you say. So, and this goes back to that discussion of learning versus performing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like the extra effort that you need to put in
Right.
is just not worth it. Have you guys have you guys had an economics class yet?
No.
Economics, yeah, we had that with Susan.
Oh, yeah. Very beginning.
Did you guys remember the law of diminishing returns?
Mm.
So let's just go over that real quick. It's a really interesting concept. So, and you can think about this from your perspective, Wendy, with your job. Like adding a new employee is supposed to increase the amount of work that's being done, right?
Sure, but it adds more work for me.
Yeah. So, in simple terms, let's think about. So, we add a new employee. We should increase the output by X%.
Mm-hmm.
But the law of diminishing returns we're saying that at some point, even if you're adding more of an input, it's not going to give you as much output. And there will be a point where it actually will detract. So you can think of the example of like, how many people does it take to change a light bulb? Mm-hmm. So just think of if you have 5 people in there trying to change one light bulb, it probably will end up taking more time than it would for one person, right?
Right.
Or you guys have probably heard, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Right.
So I forgot where I was going with that point. Yeah. with the law of diminishing returns. Back to
repeating the stuff.
Yeah. So, if you're at like 99 points and it's still like, we'll give Learnitz as an example. You're at the, you have 34 or 35 questions and it keeps on pelting you with old questions. It might not be a bad idea to move on because this is not going to be worth your time to spend there. All right, cool. Let me stop beating a dead horse on Yellow Dig. Do you guys have any other final thoughts on Yellow Dig?
Nope.
All right, cool. Let's move to the assignment.
Oh.
So let me pull that up. Oops. I'm actually going to have to go through 2 screens here for you. All right, so can you guys see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll scroll down to week 2. It says start your HR strategic one plan. Let me see if I'll make this a little bit bigger. Okay, cool. So this is the case study. If you see the scenario that will apply to the assignment, and it's a 3-part plan. So here, let me go back here real quick. So you see in week 2, you start the first part of the plan, and then in week 3, you submit it. And then in week 4, you're going to start the second part of the plan. In week 5, you'll submit it. And then you'll start part 3. So it's actually in week 5, you go right into, doesn't give you much of a break. You go right into submitting the part 3. So it's an assignment that builds on itself. Mm-hmm. And at the end, you have a final presentation. So I'll leave this up to you guys. So the assignment says that you're going to create a PowerPoint presentation of your findings, and then you're going to record it. So if you want, you can do it as a recording video and send that to me. Or if you want, we can schedule it and just do it as a live session in our final class.
Okay.
I'm fine either way. I do recommend doing it live just so that you can get that practice of doing a presentation live, because it's an important skill to have. as you go on in your career is to be able to take a lot of information and consolidate it into something simple so that when you present it to upper management or whoever your boss is, they can then use that take that information and use those insights to implement a new plan or a course of action. So I know it can be scary, but if you guys are up for it, kind of think over that, decide what you want to do, and then you can email me individually of what you want to do, if you want to do it live or if you just want to do the recording.
Well, I know we've only had to do 2, I think it's been, 2, Wendy, that we've had to do?
Yeah. Yeah, and you when you're recording it, though, you, get tongue-tied, and then, the kids come in, and then you're like, crap, and I got to start all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of editing goes on, too.
Yeah, so it might be even easier to do it live then, huh?
Yeah.
And with that, in a live scenario, if that does happen, then you have to adapt, right? You have to be agile, which is an important skill that employers want.
Well, I wouldn't have any kids interrupting my presentation.
I might have kids. I had kids come in. So, yeah, just let me know what you want to do. But, yeah, we can have the final class just be an open presentation day. All right, but let's go back to the assignment itself. So the case here, and you'll see it throughout the assignment, talks about this, is about a grocery store and, about a grocery store that's growing. So I threw this out to William. He told me that he wants to use the things that he's learning to start a vet business. So I told him he could, instead of using this case, he could apply it to himself. So if you want to do the same thing, Wendy, to your own business that you're working for right now, or if you want to create another scenario, I'm totally fine with that. But so the caveat for both of you is just email me and let me know what case you're going to use. Just give me a short, paragraph of what the scenario is. Okay. So you'll just have to, I just want it to be a growth situation or a growth scenario. Or in your case, William, since you're starting from scratch, that's definitely a growth scenario, right? Because you're going to be doing new hiring.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as you think.
Yeah, I actually just hired 2 people myself. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. So, do you guys have any questions with that? Again, this is all about tailoring it to your own situations and then being able to apply it in what you're doing. So that will just solidify the learning all that more. So yeah, just shoot me a quick email and tell me what it is, so I just have a heads up, and then I might give you some feedback of maybe tweak the scenario a little bit, but I'm fine with you guys adapting it. So let's hop into that part here. So I'm actually going to pull up the part 1 strategic plan. You guys see my Word doc now?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first part is going over the legal scenario. So it's not too bad, 250 words, which is not that much, but you want to integrate these different topics into it. But again, so instead of it being Smith and Son, it can be whatever scenario you chose to do. So just real quick, it's pretty interesting. One thing that I realized when I was doing my hiring is that I didn't use the same questions, and I didn't put everybody through the same scenarios that I did with different employees. So that's something that the mistake that I made is I need to make it, as objective as I can on my end so that they can't come back and say I was discriminating against them.
Mm-hmm.
So Wendy, in your own situation, did you feel like did you have any bias against people that you were hiring?
No, I was more, experience is huge because, again, we're in the medical field. We're dealing with patients. We're treating patients. So experience is a huge thing. And, licensing, that's the big things that we look at. initially getting anybody in the door. So, it's just what kind of experience and training that they've had. And then we go through the other steps.
Gotcha. So yeah, for me, I feel like I have like what's the best way to say this? Like maybe like a non-cognitive bias, just like I feel like I like the people better that were more like me, if that makes sense. The things that
Right.
the ones I share more things in common, I think I was more lenient towards those people in my mind and how I evaluated. So
Well, my thing is like, the more they know and the more I don't have to train them, the more time I have for other things I have to do.
yeah,
So
that's an excellent point. So
yeah, because I have to train everybody, specific to whatever doctor they're assigned to. So the more knowledge they have and the more, abilities they have, the less I'm going to have to, hold their hand, so to speak, to where then I can actually go and do other things. I know they can handle whatever the situation is. Whereas if somebody doesn't have a lot of experience, I'm going to have to do a lot of hand holding, and we're very fast paced. So I don't really have a lot of extra time to do that kind of thing. So that's when I'm looking at resumes and stuff, I want to know that they have experience.
Cool. Yeah. So that's excellent, because you know exactly what you're looking for. So having that, those criteria up front in your mind. Okay, this is what I'm going to evaluate somebody on. It allows you to filter a lot better.
Right.
I was in a kind of a different boat, because I had the perspective like I could train anybody to do this job.
Mm-hmm.
So I just needed somebody that I felt like could pick it up quickly.
Yeah. Well, and that is the case, but right now it's a startup office with 5 doctors, so we're very short staffed. I mean, I really could train anybody to do the job. It's just that we're still kind of creating it. I'm still trying to figure out what everybody's responsibilities are. So initially it's like I need people with a lot of experience to where they can help me build what the duties are and help me build versus me, 5 doctors and
or they could help
employees.
or they could help you train someone else
Right.
to do the job.
And they can work off of each other if they have different experiences. Unfortunately, I guess I could say I kind of discriminate against people just coming out of school, because the book learning and the actual application for medical is not the same. Yeah. So I really don't want somebody straight out of school. Down the line, as we have a baseline of employees, I'm fine with hiring students as externs and interns and things like that to learn and to teach. But right now, because it's so new, I have to have those experienced people.
Yeah, no. So, and that's you bring up another thing, that being your level of education is not, I guess you can discriminate based on, or I should say, it's not a protected class.
Right.
You're not excluding somebody based on their gender or
right.
Their familial status, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good thing to just be aware of that. We all in somewhat inherently have biases.
Right.
As long as we're aware of them, then we can help try to eliminate them when we're hiring people. All right, cool. So there's that part, and then this is what you've been talking about, Wendy, right? Trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing, right?
Right.
And in a startup, that's even more difficult, because you probably have people that are going outside of their job scope, right?
Right.
They're helping doing lots of different things. So definitely important. You'll probably have a lot of insight in here into this. Mm-hmm. I know, when I think about, because I'm working in a startup myself, I don't know if I have a concrete job description, and my duties that I've been asked to do have drastically changed over the last, I wonder if they might even happen from week to week sometimes in the past. But yeah, from an employee's perspective, it can be really frustrating. And then from a manager's perspective, it's hard to hold anybody accountable if things are always changing on them. Right?
It's ultimately on my hands if something goes wrong. So, Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to just sit and even just write point by point what you do every day, because it's different every single day. There's different scenarios that come up, so it's hard to kind of put it all in one scope of what is into a tiny box of what your job description is, because it's different. It changes and fluctuates on a daily basis depending on what type of patient we have in and what situation's going on. If it's an emergency, if it's chronic, it's, it changes on a daily basis. So trying to just put a quote unquote description on it, it's really difficult to do that.
Yeah, for sure. So this take some forward thinking. So this is something you can learn from other people's mistakes, William, whereas you're going to start out, you can kind of think of what you want the end picture to look like. Like, okay, if I had the perfect veterinarian's office, this is how many employees I would have, this is what they would be doing, and kind of that ownership of everything. And then you can work it back to, okay, I'm not going to be able to, it doesn't make sense for me to hire a fully staffed office at the beginning. What's that going to look like in the beginning, and how do I grow into that?
Right. And as we're hiring people, it's, yes, we need these people for these positions, but we have to prove necessity in order to even get permission to hire another person.
Yeah.
So you have to prove that it's financially needed in order to be like, okay, you can hire another person, even though it's, we're running around with our heads cut off. Yeah, we need 5 more people. We have to prove the necessity in order to even hire another person. So you have to build a whole nother quote unquote job box and job description and the necessity of that person meets. So it's a continual.
No, that's awesome, because and that comes back to, as you're building up the job description, is what you're going to evaluate that person on and output, because as you're tracking that can give you really good information or data to show that point of like, hey, boss, if you want the certain amount of output, that means that we need to hire another person, because this is what the output we're expecting. And so I'm actually in the middle of that myself, tracking some of the data so I can show, okay, this is, how many houses that my team can look at, and this is the actual output that we're getting because of it. If you want more, we just need to hire more people.
Right. Well, and that's kind of how, like, why I kind of chose to do this major, was the whole analytical part of it. I'm going to be focusing on analytics because I kind of like that, but that's kind of what I do is, I'm gathering that data of like how many patients are seen in a, certain time period, and how many people it takes in order to make, from the time they walk in the door till the time they leave the door, how long they're here and all of that kind of stuff. It's all part of figuring out a flow.
Oh yeah, for sure. So have you guys had any supply chain classes? That's a classic supply chain problem.
Right. We haven't got into any of that yet. Like really, our first analytical class is the analytical tools, which Excel, and I use that on a daily already. So I was kind of excited about that because I knew Excel pretty well. So it's going to be an easy class for me.
Cool. Well, hey, I know our class is human resources, but in Yellow Dig, if you guys have any questions about anything else or any topics you guys haven't learned about, like in this case, like a supply chain problem, feel free to throw that in there, and I don't mind chatting about that. My background's pretty varied. I've been an entrepreneur. I'm in real estate right now. Been in the fitness industry, so done different things. And my education background's in marketing, so lots of different things. If you guys want to pick my brain, I'm more than happy to do that. Okay. All right, cool. So let's go. Then this is the fun part, is you're going to pick three different roles. So we have a manager role and then, 2 other subordinate roles. So, and then you're going to talk about what different methods you would use to recruit these people. Daddy. And then, hey, honey, I'm teaching class. Then you'll put in all that content in there. So one thing I'll share in my closing remarks in that regard is, you guys ever seen those Russian nesting dolls?
Yeah.
So there's a really cool book that I love. It's the Small Business Millionaire, and they talk about this concept of these nesting dolls. And if you get a referral from somebody that's a little less than what you want, then it's going to have a trickle down effect, right? You're not going to get the employees that you want to have in the end. So that's always something to keep in mind is which direction are you going in your hiring? Are you're hiring people that are less capable, or hiring more potential candidates that you can grow? So it's something to think about is those nesting dolls is, people usually have friends that are of their same caliber, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're hiring somebody that's a less caliber, one of their friends, then it will probably end up not being a great situation. Yeah, teaching, please. Yes, you can use it. Sorry about that. So yeah, just a little food for thought there.
Okay.
All right. So if you guys have any questions, or if you have, you can take some of what you're thinking about for this assignment, post it in Yellow Dig to get your fellow students' feedback. But that's all I have for you today. You guys have any questions?
No, I think that I like that I can customize that, because trying to figure out the whole grocery store thing, I'm like,
Yeah, no. Let's adapt it to yourself. Remember this. Once you do this, and you can apply this to different industries and different scenarios. But
right.
let's do it to something that's more pertinent to what you're doing, right?
Right.
Say, Wendy, I thought it would be easier on us to do it this way, because you remember how we had to go through and do Tiger Transport.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Tiger
had
Transport owes me a lot of money. I did a lot of research with them.
Yeah. We had to do that in the very beginning. We had to go through it as a company and do stuff for them.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I figured we'd get away from that, Wendy.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, yeah. So I mean, there is some benefit to searching like real life companies and competition, because then it gives you some insight. But yeah, for this, I think it's totally fine to tailor to where you're at. All right, cool, guys. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Nope. We're moving right along.
Cool. So let's plan for next Saturday, same time. Unless you guys want to push it an hour, that's fine with me. But till then,
go ahead. I was going to say, it's up to Wendy if she wants to push it an hour.
It's hard to say. I mean, 7's fine. I just it depends on. Actually, I won't be able to do next weekend because it's my son's first soccer game, so I won't be available next Saturday. So it's whenever you guys can get together.
Well, we'll just keep it at 7 for now, and then if we need to adapt any weeks, then we can do that.
Yeah, and then I can pop in and know you guys are on the same time. Yeah, next week's opening ceremony, so we'll be out and early.
Okay, cool.
Well, if you got your cell phone, you could always download Zoom and join us that way from the game.
Yeah, it might be a little loud.
Hey, it's just an option.
I'd be like, son, don't make a goal. I have to hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
I'm in school.
Cool. Well, you guys have a great rest of your weekend and Labor Day weekend. Enjoy the long weekend. And again, if you have any questions, just feel free to pop it in Yellow Dig so that the rest of us can see it. All right, guys.
Thanks,
have a good one. You're
Talk
welcome.
to you soon, William.
All right.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Have a great weekend. Bye.